Hey everyone, Courtney King here, your favorite real estate broker, back with another episode of Millennial versus Machine. Today, we are continuing the conversations about how successful real estate agents and brokers nurture leads. And as you guys can tell, because I've actually been intentionally repeating myself, this season is all about refocusing on the two foundational pillars of success in real estate, and that is mindset and systems. And so we've talked about systems for commanding your day, those morning and evening routines. We've talked about the systems for generating leads. Last episode, we talked about systems for nurturing those leads that you generate. And then we talked about mindset. Now, can you guys believe we're already halfway through season 6? Don't you know I'm ready for vacation? It's coming very soon. But I really am committed to helping you achieve all of the success that you want in your career in real estate. Okay. So, kind of going back to the mindset component, as I was thinking about today's episode, I was thinking about like, why don't people get in their pipeline and nurture the relationships that they've started? Why don't people see long-term success from their efforts to generate leads? And I kind of broke it down to two main things. And these are related to mindset. Everything that we do, all that we are, who we are, is all based on what is going on inside of us, our mindsets. Okay. And so to answer that question, why don't people get in their pipeline and really nurture the leads that they generate? Why don't they really build relationships? I would say the first answer to that would be like fear or dread. Okay. So maybe even like contemplating getting on social media for yourself, right? You might be thinking, oh, okay, wait a minute. I'm really afraid that I won't be as polished, or I won't sound right, or I don't look right. And so that will stop people from even taking the step of implementing systems to generate leads or nurture leads. Okay. So caring about what people think. The other really big thing is if you have closed past clients, okay, and you haven't tried to connect with them, tried to check in on them since they closed, let's say 8 months ago, a year ago plus, right? There might be this fear like, oh my gosh, I did a horrible job of staying in touch with these people. So I'm afraid of what they'll think if I come back around after so long. So I'm not going to take that step to nurture that relationship. Again, it kind of surrounds, what people think. But I will say this. I was thinking about this in preparation. In my 15 plus years of being in this business, I have not once had any lead, whether I've done business with them or not, ever say, Courtney, do not reach out to me. I'm not once. I can't even like name one time where that has actually happened. And in my experience, most people are consumed with their everyday life, and what are the things in their lives that could help them make life easier, right? Relieve them of stress or fear or whatever in between. And it goes back to what I said when we talked about nurturing leads. It's all about making sure that that customer or client knows what you're about, and it's all about adding value to them. And so if you are one of those people that are like stuck, maybe because you dread picking up the phone, you dread reaching out, you dread getting on camera, or you're fearful about what people will think, I'm here to remind you that people are not thinking that deep. And if you add value, nobody's ever going to say, Courtney, don't reach out to me. Okay. Um, it is about consistency. And I think at the end of the day, gosh, how bad do you want the success? Right? Is people having an opinion on you, and we know people will have an opinion on anybody and anything at any time, is that greater than my desire or your desire to succeed in your career in real estate? Only you can answer that question. Only you can answer that question. And I will tell you right now, I'm on this video. My eyes are a little bit tired, so I've got my glasses on, okay? I've been doing a lot of CEs, and so I'm like, let me just help them out a little bit by putting my glasses on. I probably need a haircut, and yet I'm still showing up to add value to you, even if it's just a few people that watch these videos or listen to my podcasts, right? Because it's not necessarily only about adding value to you, but it's about who I've defined myself to be in my career, right? Now, let me stop you because I wanted to make sure that came out right. I'm not saying my career defines me, but what defines me is partially my commitment to excellence, and I want to be excellent in everything that I do. And sometimes that also leaves room to be authentic, to have your glasses on, for those of you that are listening and are not on YouTube. First of all, check me out on YouTube. But secondly, if you're on YouTube, then you know what I'm talking about, okay? So when we kind of reset ourselves and examine this fear or dread that we have and compare it to where we want to be, which one are you going to allow to rule you? That's the question. And today's going to be short and sweet because this is what I got. Okay. So that explains one of the reasons I see, just based on my interaction with hundreds of agents day in and day out. The second thing that I think blocks people from really taking action to nurture the leads that they attract or engage with, nurture those relationships, is our preconceived notions and assumptions. Okay. Let me give you some examples. Okay. Because I don't want to just throw that out there without examples. Okay. One example is you, in all of your efforts, let's say on social media, or let's say, one of the things that I pointed out is commenting on open forums online to add value. Bigger Pockets is something that I used to do. And let's say somebody does connect with you. A preconceived notion or an assumption that some people will have is, number one, maybe that buyer isn't pre-approved, and they'll immediately say, oh, they're not worth my time. Okay. They make an assumption that just because they're not pre-approved in this moment, that they won't potentially get pre-approved in the future, and you be able to assist them, right? So you, if that's your mindset, are counting yourself out of the game before it even starts. Okay, let's be real. I'll give you another example. Along the lines with pre-approval, because sometimes there are agents that really overly vet customers without really focusing on adding the value and building the relationship. Okay. And I know I shared this on a couple of different episodes. So I had an investor client reach out to me, they weren't my client yet. Investor customer reaches out to me and has questions about investing in real estate in Dallas-Fort Worth. Okay. I answer the questions. I get to know him a little bit. And he says, you know what, Courtney, I'm just not ready to make a move right now. My money's tied up. I'm just not ready to make a move. No problem. Add him to my at this time, I think I was doing, quarterly newsletters. So I added him to my quarterly newsletters, kept in touch. 4 years later, okay? And this is just one of many stories, but this is the one that always comes to mind. 4 years later, after nurturing him, sending him newsletters, checking in via text, letting him know about some opportunities that I had for investments, even though he wasn't ready yet, but really doing my part to stay top of mind. 4 years later, he finally says, Courtney, I'm ready to buy a couple of duplexes. And by the way, I want you to take over management of all, I don't even remember how many properties he had at the time, but I want you to take over management of all of my properties. Great. Now, taking a step back, had I made assumptions, I would have wrote this guy off as not being serious. But anybody that is about this real estate life, we know that it's a numbers game. We know that not every lead that we generate is going to sprout fruit immediately. Okay. So I want to challenge you. If you are approached by somebody that seems like they're not ready, right? Or seems like they're not serious, I want you to challenge yourself to suspend all assumptions and be curious. See what they're about. Learn about what their goals are, right? Don't forget those people know people, okay? So you never want to count somebody out. You always want to be of service. It's crucial. It's crucial for your livelihood, for your income potential, right? For your name and your brand. What do people say about you in real estate, okay? A lot of that is based on how you're showing up, what you do. I have this thing, you can't see it, it's behind my chair. But it's this little piece of paper that I printed out essentially that says winners are winners because of what they do. Okay. Winners do, you guys. They take action. They keep showing up. They suspend their opinions and their assumptions and always focus on adding value, knowing that the fruit will sprout at some point. Okay. We can't guarantee when, but your efforts will lead to the closed deals, to the relationships, to the success that you're seeking. Like I'm living it, and I see agents that, whether they're listening to my podcast or digging into their pipeline or um, investing in their social media, I'm seeing it all day, every day, right? And even when the market is tough, there are always still winners. And the winners in tough markets are the ones that are doers. Okay. So I know this episode today has been super heavy in terms of mindset, and the mindset is a really big key as it relates to nurturing the leads that you generate, point blank period. Okay. And if I am honest with you, well, first of all, I'm recording this episode a little bit later than I normally do just because your girl's been tired. Okay. Like it's been, this is busy season, right? Any real estate professionals that are watching or listening to this podcast right now, summertime, we're trying to squeeze every single deal in possible before back to school starts. And so this is our busy season. And so when you don't feel like getting into that pipeline, I want you to think about this episode, and I want you to think about your mindset and what you really value. Okay. Because what you value is basically what is going to dictate what you do. So here's my call to action. Decide. And I probably should have said this at the beginning of the season, but decide if you want to be successful, and then do. And then if you have blockers, whether it be you, because that's typically one of the most common blockers for any person. Okay, let's be real. Then figure out what are the things that you can do to unblock certain areas. And I've said this time and time again, especially as it relates to commanding your day, especially as it relates to generating leads, is start where you are. Don't make it overcomplicated, you guys. The world overcomplicates most things, okay? Don't make it overcomplicated. Show up, right? Put in your effort. Make those calls, send those texts, make those videos, draft the newsletter, right? Do those very simple things that you can do. And maybe that's just one of those items that I just listed out. And get really good and consistent at that, and then add something else. Okay. I hope this is helpful, you guys. I'm super passionate, and I want to continue to add value to you. And it's just simple, you guys, and you can do it. I believe you can do it. I probably need to have some guests coming up on the podcast that talk about what they are doing that is yielding results, yielding a fruit. I'm going to do that here once we get through the next couple of very busy weeks and vacation weeks. If you are interested in being on an episode to talk about what you're doing that is yielding fruit or not, right? Because I think we learn from the things that aren't really producing fruit as well. And that might not be a blanket thing for everybody. That might just be you and your season. I still think it's helpful to share what works, what doesn't work, and hopefully inspire other real estate professionals to level up, step their game up. It's a great time to be alive in real estate. And there's nothing but opportunities. And it's my goal to help you continue to capitalize on all of the opportunities and then also create some of your own opportunities by showing up with the right mindset and the right systems. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Stay tuned next week. Another episode of Millennial versus Machine podcast. Take care.